how we are going to deliver is going to matter more than what we are going to deliver. The science of the brain is fantastic. We come with a certain bit of bias that if we can't do it, the kids cannot do it.
Yeah.
All right.
What is the right age to start this right brain education?
The actual right age is when the child is in the mother's womb. There are a lot of kids who have already grown a little bit older. So it's not that this program is not impactful for them. The younger you start, the better it is. In Japan, they are making rectangular watermelons, cuboids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So I was wondering that why would you even do that? When I studied more, I realized that the problem was transportation. A lot of fuel was being wasted because they would waste a lot of space in transporting the watermelon. Instead of solving the problem of transportation, they changed the shape of the fruit itself.
With chicken right now you have started with 6 months infant stimulation,
Yes.
and then now 16 months
Correct.
from table program. How these two are different?
The agenda is to also include a lot of sensory play. Like for example, when you take the kids to a gaming arcade in a mall, okay, they're extremely excited. Now that excitement beats the excitement in the other areas. Why does that happen? Because you don't take them to the gaming arcade every day. If you take them to the same mall, same gaming arcade every day, even that value will diminish.
In your article, right, I've heard that you do a lot of languages. And what is the need of to do that languages?
We call a door in English as door.
Right.
Then in Hindi it would be darwaza, in Marathi it's dar, in Gujarati where I come from it's darwajo, whatever. If you understand what is happening in our brain when we start learning multiple languages, is we also open up the possibilities of looking at the same thing in a different way, right? Say tomorrow you have to give an IIT entrance exam. Everybody is going to be stressed. But then someone comes and tells you, even if you score 0 in IIT JEE, you are still selected. The stress vanishes.
Absolutely.
So the IIT entrance exam is not a stressful problem. It's the expectation of a certain output in that, right?
What is right brain development for kids? Even I am not sure that what to tell you. So today I have right brain development educator, mentor and whatnot, who is a founder of Tickle Right, which is a great platform for kids for right brain development. And today we are going to talk to him in detail about right brain development education for your child. It starts from 6 months of your child's age. Can you believe that? 6 months? So let's dig into it.
So what exactly is right brain development?
So, see, right brain development is kind of misunderstood that we only focus on developing the right hemisphere of the brain. And, everybody has a different perception about it. But primarily, if I have to still speak about Tickle Right and what we do under right brain development is we do it as the right way to develop the brain.
Oh.
Okay, we're looking at a holistic approach. We do not focus on any functions which are only specific to any hemisphere of the brain. We are focusing on many functions because what previously was thought about it, you could develop only one hemisphere of the brain, having a targeted approach. I don't think that's true anymore. The idea is if you have to look at brain development, you'll have to look at a complete development of the brain, right? So we may have functions like what is traditionally believed that, okay, creative thinking is a right brain function, right? However true it may be, but to execute that function, you will need your left brain as well. For example, you may think creatively, but you may have to design the solution which could be logical in nature. So what we used to think that, okay, the abstract functions are right brain can be worked upon and the left brain should not be, or probably it works upon on its own, but that's not true. That's not what we believe in. So right brain education, at least we like to believe it's the right way to develop the brain, and which will include functions of left hemisphere and right hemisphere.
But otherwise it is a term like right brain development,
yes.
And it is going like viral to the next level. And how these right way to develop a brain or right brain education different from the traditional methods, like during our time there was no such kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
How it is now developing and how it is different from the traditional method.
So see, the difference is mainly in the approach. Like when a lot of people come for a right brain class at Tickle Right, they end up seeing that, okay, we are using a lot of flashcards. Okay, now flashcards are being used in preschools and everywhere else also. But the purpose is the difference, right? If we are going to use flashcards only to teach them vocabulary, that could be the traditional approach. But when we use flashcards, we use it in different ways to increase their speed of learning, to think creatively, to give them exposure and assist it with audios. So the idea is you can use the same tools, be it in a preschool or in a Montessori playway, whichever technique you would do, or you can use the same tools in a right brain way. It's just a different approach. At Tickle Right method, at least we like to believe that how we are going to deliver is going to matter more than what we are going to deliver.
Okay.
So when it comes to specifically the right brain education on a genuine level, it will have to be the approach which is different than the traditional schooling system.
And now you have talked about flashcards. So
Yeah.
tell me how flashcard, what is the major role and importance of flashcard these days? Because earlier back in the days, again I will say, there was no flashcards.
Absolutely.
And there were no concept of flashcards.
Correct.
And I've never seen somebody doing so fast flashcards, and I don't even understand that how kid will perceive it.
Correct.
Like in your article, it also the flashcards changing speed is too much.
Absolutely.
And what I feel is, I am not able to grasp how my child is grasping.
Correct.
But still they are grasping. So I want to know how they are grasping.
Absolutely. So see, as you rightly said, that they are grasping, but the science of the brain is fantastic. Okay, what happens is we come with a certain bit of bias that if we can't do it, the kids cannot do it.
Yeah.
All right. That bias is, in fact, if you see, forget a right brain class, it is also debunked in your day-to-day lives. If you see usage of the mobile phone, a lot of parents come back and tell me, my child knows everything in the mobile phone. He or she can open the apps you want. They will enter the password. They will search for their own videos, etc., etc. 2 years, 2.5-year-olds. And look at people who are 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus. They have lived their entire life. They've had their exposure to complex structures and problems. In spite of that, they have a challenge with the mobile phone. But kids don't have that challenge, or rather they have it, but they overcome it much sooner. So just like that, even in flashcards, it's the same understanding. We limit the potential of the brain because we assume that because I am unable to do it, the child's brain also is unable to do it. Again, everything comes down to also how your outlook is. If you are going to use flashcards the way we use it, and you're going to start testing the kids, it's not the right way to do it. Like, I'm sure you come with the understanding that yes, they have grasped the flashcards, but I know it for a fact that I've been speaking to you for a while, that you don't test your kids. You see their output in day-to-day natural environment.
Absolutely.
So as long as you do not put them in a situation to perform, any form of exposure is going to be playful.
Right.
It is going to be including the high-speed flashcards, right? They are not here. The high speed is not meant to scare them, okay, that if you don't catch these words, then you will not be able to score well in an exam.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. It's just high-speed flashcards done. The brain is capable to adapt to whatever exposure it gets. Right? And on a human level, I'm not saying if we do it through screens, probably this could have been increased, but on a human level, you cannot go more than 2 cards a second.
Okay.
Right? If I'm going to flash as a human, not using a screen, in my opinion, it's very difficult to go over 2 cards a second, maybe 2.5. So that speed is still lower than the videos that the kids are seeing.
Agree.
Right?
And the fast pace the videos goes
are much higher.
So is changing now to now. Yes.
Absolutely. So the idea is it has to be between a comfortable range, which is safe. At the same time, it should be free of any expectation of output. All the parents who have been doing Tickle Right, they will come and tell you, no, but I know my child has been picking up these words because he or she has been using it over there, etc. That form of output is great, but you can't make the child speak about the output. That is when you, in fact, reduce the effectiveness of the high-speed flashcards. And a lot of times parents who do flashcards at home, they also come and tell me that even the school is doing flashcards, but it doesn't work when we do it. How does it work when you do it? So it's not, the main difference is this, that we do not do it with an expectation of output.
Okay.
We're not here to test the kids. We will never test the kids. And if anybody is doing true right brain development, we'll be doing it the same way.
And what about if a flashcard is there? For example, it's a flashcard of a maybe cow or something.
Correct.
And we start explaining the child about cow. Is it the right way?
It's not the right brain right way,
Okay.
but it is the right way.
Right
See,
way, right.
flashcards are nothing but a non-screen visual, right?
Right.
So if you're going to give exposure to something, and if a child is asking questions, if it is inquiry based and you're explaining, I would say it's the right way for knowledge, for vocabulary building, which is not what we ideally aim in our program.
Right.
But if the child is asking questions and you are answering those questions, it can never be wrong because it comes from their own curiosity.
Absolutely. And what is the right age to start this right brain education thing?
I've studied a lot, been to so many countries to understand this. Every time I go and do further studies based on the science, it always keeps going lower and lower and lower.
Okay.
And someone told me that the actual right age is when the child is in the mother's womb. Okay, that is to start.
To start.
But if we go in that way, there are a lot of kids who have already grown a little bit older. So it's not that this program is not impactful for them. However, it stops at 6, 7. 7 is being the hard stop, at least for us in our program. But the sooner you start, the younger you start, the better it is. Right Brain program also has one key factor which differentiates it from other traditional schooling is the ability to learn things without rules.
Okay.
For example, I saw somewhere, I was reading something and I heard that, okay, in Japan, they are making rectangular watermelons, cuboids.
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Now,
it's very viral.
Absolutely, right? So I was wondering that why would you even do that? When I studied more, I realized that the problem was transportation. A lot of fuel was being wasted because they would waste a lot of space in transporting the watermelons.
Oh.
So now I was so fascinated that a human brain can think that, okay, instead of solving the problem of transportation, they change the shape of the fruit itself.
Yeah.
So can our horizon be widened to that extent? And this is just one example. We have seen so many examples, at least in the 21st century. I think innovations are coming every 6 years, 7 years. You will see that all technology has changed.
Yeah.
Suddenly, whatever we could think that this is not possible is becoming possible. So we never assume we'd have foldable screens. With the last 1 year, nobody's talking about anything except foldable screens.
Yes.
So the idea is, if I'm going to start teaching the kids about accepting thought processes which go beyond the rules, I will have to start young, because I don't want to teach them as a hack. I want to teach them as their natural way of learning.
Right.
Like we've all learned that if you make things into a story, it is easier for you to remember.
Right.
When we put it up to test, and you will see that 100 people know this fact, but whenever they have to remember 15 things, the brain finds it very difficult to create a story.
Absolutely.
That's because it's not natural.
Right.
So if we teach younger, like if we teach the younger kids and they start much sooner, this becomes their innate ability. The same hack which all adults know, and maybe 2% are able to perform, if we start with the kids, most of them will be able to perform.
Yeah, but then what age, if the child is born, now what age? Now
On that day,
but the right brain education, like with Chickle Right, now you have started with 6 months infant stimulation,
Yes.
and then now 16 months
Correct.
from table program. How these two are different?
Ideally, the difference is
Both are for right brain
brain
education
development, yes.
and the right way to develop the brain
Correct.
and all, but how they are both
So
different?
primarily, every milestone that a child is achieving, there are certain areas which will take priority in development. So with the younger ones, the infant stimulation program from 6 months to 16 months, the agenda is to also include a lot of sensory play. Now, because that will also matter the most when it comes to neuronal connections, etc., etc. So that is one key factor as a difference between the 6 months program and the 16 months program. Now, the second thing is we need more space. A 16-month-old or a normal table program for right brain development is a sit-down program, usually conducted on a particular setup where kids don't want to move so much because they're doing activities. But the infant program is all across. We don't like boundaries. We want it to be in a very big space because the kids will be doing activities on the walls and things like that. So again, as I told you in the beginning, a different approach is used only because there are different milestone capabilities the kids have. Post 16 months, this milestone change slows down. It doesn't happen so frequently, which is why our program can be a little standardized. It can't completely standardize. That's why our batches are very, very small. But it will still be, we can still conduct it in a particular way.
Right, and how this, if we are starting like 16 months right brain education, how it will be different from mother toddler programs? Because in mother toddler also we do a lot of sensory activities and I don't know, flashcards or something like that. They do.
Yes.
But they do few floor exercises and activities.
So right from mother toddler or preschool or whatever, the difference will always be in the reason to do the activity. So for example, if I'm doing my flashcards, I'm doing it for high speed learning. Okay, but they are doing it to teach vocabulary, and none of them is wrong. It's not that what the mother toddler is doing is incorrect. The reason is to teach vocabulary is also a good reason. We want knowledge to develop in kids. Same thing with sensory. So in sensory play, again, our sensory play and mother toddler sensory play may overlap at certain levels.
Okay.
But sensory play would be probably say 20% of our program when it comes to an infant program. Post 16 months, we have no sensory play. I mean, we do activities with wooden cubes and blocks and things like that, which would involve fine and gross motor skills. But it wouldn't be so heavy on the program as much as it would be in the infant program.
Right.
So our sensory play starts at 6 months of age, which in a mother toddler may start a little later on.
Later. I think mother toddler usually starts by 18 months of age.
Yes.
Yeah. And your right brain development says that once a week, 1 hour of class is more than enough.
Absolutely.
Why?
So this brings me to the fundamental reason of doing this program. One of the key things that right brain education proposes, especially in the tickle right method, we take care a lot about this, is the emotional well-being and learning of the child. Okay, if the child is emotionally willing to do the program, or to do any activity, forget tickle right, it could be anything.
Right.
The absorption rate, because the child is willing to do it proactively, is much higher. Right? Now, if you observe the behavior of the kids, the frequency of anything which is exposed to them lesser, their excitement, if it's fun of course, and they like it, is going to be much higher. Like for example, when you take the kids to a gaming arcade in a mall, okay, they're extremely excited. Now, that excitement beats the excitement in the other areas. Why does that happen? Because you don't take them to the gaming arcade every day. Right? If you take them to the same mall, same gaming arcade every day, even that value will diminish. So by limiting the frequency, what we are trying to do is we are trying to increase their willingness, because for them these are games. In a tickle right class, you've seen it. It is no relevance to or pressure or stress. It's just a fun-filled 50-60 minutes where kids are just enjoying and doing activities. So that sort of experience is so limited that when the next time they want to come for this class, they are so excited about it that their absorption is higher. So it would be very, in a way, evil to say that we're using this emotional learning of kids to our advantage so that the absorption rate is higher. But then there is a limited time period. So we might as well increase the absorption from every class.
And how about enhances the creativity of the child? How tickle right or right brain development enhances the creativity? Because they, at this age, they're very curious about everything. They're learning, they're absorbing anything, they are exploring everything, and how that education will enhance their creativity, enhance their emotions, and let them be free and come out really good. And with that, I really want to ask, what is the need of it today's world?
So I think emotional well-being is the primary need. If you would have asked me, we finished 10 years this year, but if you would asked me 9 years back, I would have thought, on a personal level, in spite of being with Right Brain for so long, as I was studying it before we started our first batches. I was teaching myself, and in spite of all of that, my answer would have been very different 9 years back. But today, I'm a very big advocate about the fact that if emotional well-being is not your priority for your child's development, any form of academic growth will not matter so much. 20 years from now, we may not be really chasing high scorers in academics. We'll actually be chasing emotionally stable people who are, of course, at the same time academically smart, but need not be the toppers, right? And it's not that doing a Right Brain program you cannot top. In fact, the probabilities are higher of having academic success, but at the same time, emotional success is going to be very, very important. So the reason to do this program is mainly to create happy kids, or rather happy adults when they grow up.
And how it helps in improving the memory of the child?
It is a key factor. Memories also have a very deep connection with emotions. Your emotional stability, your ability to correlate emotions, and at the same time, so there are different areas in memory that we use, but certain things would be highly technical in nature, like connecting non-connected items may improve your memory to remember things because it's different, it's funny. So we will use all these different techniques to play with the kids. Ideally, what is happening is their brain is learning these techniques to remember.
Right.
Automatically, when they grow, whatever information they would want to remember, that capacity has already increased, because now they know that different types of information can be remembered in different ways.
Right. And can this Right Brain education help kids with learning difficulties also?
It can, but you'll have to make the batch size even smaller.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it anyways gets diagnosed much later on. Kids come to us much sooner before they even know whether this challenge is existing or not. But ideally, even if it happens, and you have a child who's going through a difficult time to learn something, this will have to be, as I said, everything in here is how you deliver. So if a child is expecting a certain type of delivery, it can be catered to. The only thing is it will have to be in a very different way, which is why the batch size cannot be like a 6-kid batch.
Why this Right Brain education is not implemented in today's schools? And why still it is called like, okay, let child go with the flow? And why, I think if I ask any old teacher, they will say कि नहीं अभी इतना छोटा बच्चा, why you are putting your child to any school or any classes? Let them go with the flow, let them enjoy, don't put anything, and 5 years तक तो enjoy करने दो.
Correct.
Things like that.
No, ideally, I'm with the teachers on the fact that let them go with the flow, let them enjoy. All that I wish that they come to a tickle writer class and see both these things, that how much in a flow it is, how much the kids are enjoying, how much they want to come the next time. Okay, like I'm with them on the fact that we shouldn't be really stressing the kids out. In fact, we should not at all be stressing the kids out. The best form of learning is when they're free and willing to do things, which we kind of take care in a tickle right class. Now, this problem with the schools, all schools are doing great for that matter, because we are all a product of it, right? Today, if you go and happen to see, I'm not at liberty, of course, to take names, but if you go and happen to see big leaders of great companies, even not only in India, they come from the same state boards or CBSE boards of India. So I'm not against the fact that that doing a state board or a CBSE board would be problematic for kids. It's not. We have proven results of people achieving success by graduating from these courses. The difference is that in a school, a Right Brain program cannot be done because that form of learning cannot be for 20 kids at a time. In fact, most schools have more than 30-40 kids at a time.
Absolutely.
Right? So 20, you could bring that number down. Certain schools have started seeing they have only 10 kids at a time. But even with 10 kids, when I used to teach 9 years back, we used to have 8 kids in our program. It took a year for me to understand that I'm so not able to do justice to the program even with 8 kids. So we started doing it for 6 kids from that moment. So we did run a year for 8 kids, but we realized that the lesser the kids, the customized the approach. Now, when I look at the school level, it's practically impossible to deliver this program to 20 kids at a time.
And can mother knows few things and start doing all these activities?
Absolutely.
and will be benefited, the child will be benefited?
No, definitely. I think what a mother could do somewhere. So let's assume I had all mothers who would do this. I would be 110 on 100. But because I don't have, it's not practically possible. So logistically challenge is there. Like you see at the number of flashcard sets, only one activity out of the 30-35 activities that we do, we have close to 2,000 sets.
Oh my God.
So that's one out of so many activities. So logistically, it's a nightmare to do it at a level where one child can get a complete exposure. In COVID, we thought we would deliver like every other educational program out there at home, but we realized at least with Tickle Right, it's not possible. It's too much of material. However, what a mother could do, because it will be even more customized, like the mother knows everything about the child, which we take so much time as teachers to find out. This could have been one magic, but logistics is a challenge.
Logistics, and the amount of activities you do, the amount of flashcards you have, and the things you teach, it's beyond words.
Yeah.
Now, I really want to ask you that in your Tickle Right, I've heard that you do a lot of languages, and what is the need of to do that languages at such an early age? And then I will tell you my experience with those languages also, which my daughter has learned through Tickle Right. And
correct. So see, variable thinking is only possible, in my opinion, if you are cognizant about the fact that there are possibilities. So I'll simplify this for us. We call a door in English as door.
Right.
Then in Hindi it would be darwaza. In Marathi it's dar. In Gujarati, where I come from, it's darwajo, whatever. So if you understand what is happening in our brain when we start learning multiple languages, is we also open up the possibilities of looking at the same thing in a different way, right? Any form of exposure to different languages not only exposes the child to the fact that there are multiple cultures in the world, at the same time variable thinking, which means any x, like how we used to go back to school and we used to say, okay, x has a particular value which can be changed.
Right.
So those abilities to understand that form of complexity cannot be taught to the young child. But if we teach them languages, it acts at a similar effect. I'm actually avoiding a lot of science to explain this.
Right.
I'm trying to give you the impact of it. But what I'm trying to say is exposure to multiple languages creates an opportunity in the brain to have variable thinking.
Right. And with that, I want to tell you, as I've told you earlier also, like with Tickle Right only, my daughter understood that she has an interest in French language.
Great.
And now it's been a year she's taking French classes.
Wow.
And everybody still, I don't know why this dilemma is there in parents, and whoever comes to know that my daughter is learning French, they are so curious, and they are saying, why to put so much pressure? School mein abhi English to they are not learning properly, and we are teaching French. And so I just say that it's my daughter's interest. But what's your take on it, that how much she'll be able to learn, remember when she will grow up?
Absolutely. So I'll probably give you an answer to give all those people.
Yeah.
It's better to do it this way. So see, ideally, if you go back and you explore, right, which is the language you really are very comfortable in the most? Is it going to be English or is it going to be your mother tongue?
Obviously, mother
tongue. Right? Now, if you go back and see how did we learn our mother tongue, we did not learn grammar first. Right? But English, we started with grammar.
Absolutely.
So when I did French in school for 5 years, okay, from 8th to 12th grade.
Right.
Now, my entire journey was to learn the grammar of the language first. And we used to have the 10 marks left for our verbal communication, but 90% was grammar and application.
Right.
Now the challenging part is spending 5 years giving 2 board exams, giving orals, giving everything. I took tuitions as well. I still cannot speak as good French, or rather I hardly speak French. I can understand, but that's about it for 5 years. But within 5 years, your mother tongue, you are already a master at it.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you realize learning without rules, see, grammar is rules of the language.
Absolutely.
Learning without rules is great. So I would be happy when parents would have a concern saying, why would you put your daughter for French or something like that? But as far as at least I know your intention is not to get some form of output directly.
Absolutely.
It's just if she has an interest, let's explore. As I said, if you remove the expectation of a particular result, every and any form of learning becomes fun play for kids. I keep giving this example a lot in my orientations when I meet parents. Is say tomorrow you have to give an IIT entrance exam.
Right.
Okay, everybody is going to be stressed, but then someone comes and tells you, even if you score 0 in IIT JEE, you are still selected. The stress vanishes.
Absolutely.
So the IIT entrance exam is not a stressful problem. It's the expectation of a certain output in that, right? So extrapolate this in every situation when you're with kids.
Yeah.
Everything will become extremely joyful, and that's the DNA we are trying to pass in a Tickle Right class also.
Yeah, that's what, when I came to you for the first time, and when you told me that don't expect any outcome out of it, knowledge will be just a byproduct of
Yes,
Tickle
yes,
Right.
yes.
Your child. Even I was very skeptical to join that. Reason being thinking, because in our traditional ways we only think कि बच्चे को अगर A to Z आता है या बच्चा ये सीख रहा है तो उसको आंसर देना चाहिए.
Absolutely.
And there is nothing called कि बस बच्चे की स्पीड बढ़ रही है या बच्चे की मेमोरी इंक्रीज हो रही है. And with due time, my daughter Tickle Right for 2.5 years, I've seen drastic change in speed, in memory, in everything. And then she grasped that she wants to do French. So that's another plus point. And
You also share few of your feedbacks from the parents which you receive, and you feel that yes, those are very precious for everyone to know.
Absolutely. In fact, what you've just pointed out, what I was kind of getting goosebumps, is, I miss the most at this stage is meeting a lot more parents who've already joined the program.
yeah,
It's just becoming very difficult due to time problems. But, whenever I end up meeting parents, I get to know these feedbacks. As you said, my biggest takeaway for today is that your daughter could find her interest due to this program.
Yeah.
Every parent has come back to me, whoever I've been speaking to, and I'm in touch with a few parents whose kids I was teaching. Okay, and I've realized that their biggest takeaway has been observing some skill set in their kids which they thought wouldn't have been possible if they wouldn't be doing Tickle Right. I'm not saying we take credit for what that parent is saying, that it's true. I probably think it's not always true. Yes, but we do give a platform for every child to use all the skill sets, or at least the ones we are covering. Automatically, the child will find their own skill sets which they prefer. Parents will have an understanding of what the child is better at. I've had interactions with school teachers who've come back and told us that I would recommend every single child to join your class. And these teachers are not engaged with us in any capacity, but they have seen some form of output happening in the kids because of their exposure to Tickle Right. So I think the most precious moments would be, I've had kids who've learned, parents have come and told me that I found my child has an interest in playing piano thanks to your school, thanks to your program. And my first question was, we don't even introduce piano.
Yeah, right.
Like, we have no musical instruments, or rather hardly any musical instrument exposure in the program. But you remember the activities where we are doing various form of music or sound. Then we are exposing them to Vivaldi, Beethoven, Bach, etc. Their understanding of music increases. Their curiosity, as you said, the kids start asking so many different questions. That curiosity led them to find what they like. So I think that was one moment. I had a parent who came and told me that I did this entire 5-year program with my elder one, and now my younger one is there. And unfortunately, you're aware of this, that there's a very big problem of seats everywhere.
Yeah.
Most of the seats are Tickle Right is a big problem.
I am waiting for past 4 months.
I'm so sorry. That is the biggest challenge. So she was telling me the same thing. She spoke to me. She had my number. This was a very old parent. she called me, she said, I have been waiting to do something, and I asked her, see, that's a different challenge, but tell me something about your 5-year-old. She went on to say that, what happens when I see my child speak in front of 30 people, and when I see other kids who've not been exposed to this sort of program, the confidence that my child has, the kind of questions she's asking, the topics that she's been speaking about are so different, so engaging. 30 people will still look at her and listen to her, which will be so challenging at that age. So that's what I want for my younger one. That one particular feedback. This in fact came to me last month.
Wow.
So this was a parent from Bombay. So I was, these are my moments. Like, in 9-10 years back, I would have not thought that we would be having such kind of takeaways for parents. But today, I'm very happy, and this actually has a very big role to play from all my teachers, more than me, because I've hardly taught kids, but they've been teaching every day now.
And lastly, I want to ask you how you come into it.
Interesting question. So, it was an accidental discovery.
Oh, right.
We used to run, we still do, on a very small capacity. We run a monthly activity center for kids from 5 to 14 years, where we used to teach them, we still do actually, skating, gymnastics, chess, etc., just other activities, co-curricular activities. But our approach had always been not as a hobby class. We wanted to, in fact, we did send to players for state level competitions, district level, etc., and even to national level competitions. So, we were in that space, and it was fun because, I used to like sports, and sports was, that's how I got into the co-curricular space for training and coaching, because it was widely available. But there was a big problem. For academics, all these kids used to take a break. That, like say they enter the 10th grade. Now I have been preparing a national level player for the last 6 years. Okay, grooming them, making them ready, played state level, winning medals, silver, gold, etc. They take this 1 year break for 10th grade. Some may take 2 years, 9th and 10th grade. When they come back, that particular level of skill set or efficiency is so low that it took us so much time to get back. In fact, sometimes we would not succeed. The same player would never be at the same stage. Now, that's the time. So we were working on curriculums at that time for something of that sort. Then I started researching on the fact that how does permanent development happen? Is because if I want to do any change in my curriculum, I need to do it the way science is recommending. I came across this understanding that a lot of permanent development, be it determination, because what usually was missed out was they lacked focus after they came back, they missed determination. So I was researching more of the emotional side of it. And I came across this understanding that this is actually a problem for monsooners, right? So I don't think working on the curriculum for that particular thing would have made so much of a difference, as much as I would probably be able to make a change with the younger generation.
Yeah.
And that's how we found it.
That's how you found it.
Yes. And then we went to a few countries.
Oh, nice.
Where we learned different approaches to brain development for kids. And Munira and I, we've been doing this for a while. Her medical background helped us a lot in understanding. I think so. Now she heads the research and development. She heads the teachers training, curriculum development, entire area. But it's been a very fun journey. So it was good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for such a delightful talk with you, Pranay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.